Is Guatemala City worth visiting? That's the question we wanted to answer for ourselves. So we booked ourselves 1 month in an Airbnb right in the heart of Guatemala City just to check it out. We have been to Guatemala several times over the years, and every time we've gone, people always say, don't go to Guatemala City. If you have to fly there, you're going to get immediately on a bus or a taxi and go to Antigua or Lake Atitlan or somewhere else. But Guatemala City is big and dirty and dangerous, and there's nothing there worth seeing anyway, so don't spend any time there. So today we're going to talk about what we got up to while we were there so you can decide if it's the right place for you to visit.
So here's the thing. Things didn't go quite as we had expected in Guatemala City. We had just spent an amazing month in Antigua. Oh, we can link to our video here on Antigua if you want. But when we got to Guatemala City, there were some political protests and road blockages that shut down the country a little bit. So things within the city were closed down a bit, so we didn't get the full experience of seeing all of the activities we wanted to do. But we'll show you what we did do.
I mean, and the good news, the irony is that Guatemala City, which is the big scary place that they tell you not to go to, really ended up being the best place we possibly could have been. Because while the roadblocks really affected, some of the smaller towns and cities across the country, in the capital, everything was still open. We still had groceries, like everything worked pretty well. So actually that worked in our favor to help us make sure we had a pretty good time while we were there. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do if you come to Guatemala City is go to the main
Constitution Square.
Yes, where they've got the presidential palace and there's the big main cathedral. Unfortunately, those things were all closed while we were there because of the protests, so we couldn't actually go inside. But just being there in the square, I mean, we were there early in the morning.
Great atmosphere.
Yeah, and it was still fairly lively.
It's attached to a long walking street that goes all the way up through Zone 1. And we were there kind of early before the shops were open, but there was still a lot to do, a lot of activity, really a fun place to be.
And even, again, during a time of protest, we felt very safe walking through that area and didn't have any problems.
No. Guatemala is known for its archaeological sites, and Guatemala City has one of its own right in the very center of the city. It's called Kaminaljuyu. It is open 8 to 4 every day, and it costs about 50 quetzals to get in, which I think is a little over $6. It's a great little site. They have a small museum, and they have some beautiful ruins that you can actually walk into.
Most of it is pretty, like there's fields and there's some mounds that are still uncovered. The site used to be a lot bigger, but the city has encroached on it. And so I think it's only about a ½ kilometer square, but it's a nice place to go and see some interesting things right there in Guatemala City. One activity we really enjoyed is called Pasos y Pedales. On Sunday afternoons from about 10 to 2, they shut down Avenida La Reforma in Zone 9, and it stretches all the way south into Zone 11. But people just come and because the street is closed down, people walk, they ride their bicycles, everyone brings their dogs. There were so many cute dogs, a lot of Dalmatians, which we noticed. But like there's groups that were clearly set up to like get dogs adopted out. There was lots of food and snacks and pizza and cotton candy and all sorts of things. And everybody's just having a fun time. There was like a little carnival that was there. I don't know. It was just a fun way to come and people watch and get out in the middle of the day when it was really beautiful out. And we had a really fun time.
At the other end of Avenida La Reforma, as you get up to Zone 4, you'll find the Botanical Gardens. Now, Guatemala City is not a city with a lot of parks and green spaces, so it's a really nice place to go if you would like to get away from the hustle and bustle and enjoy a little green. It's a pretty old botanical garden, so the trees are huge and it's beautiful. They also have an old natural history museum there, and everything in the Natural History Museum is quite old.
Yeah. Like they have a lot of taxidermied animals.
That's a little sad.
That's a little weird.
But it's kind of cool and fun to
yeah.
look at. The price to get into all of that is
Like 10 quetzales.
Yeah, so it's about a little over $1 a person. So really cheap, and
we went there looking for birds, so we went a couple of times.
Found quite a few.
Had a very nice afternoon. If you're into kind of kitschy things to do, one thing you might want to check out is the relief map. This is this giant relief map that they have made of the entire country of Guatemala. It's very old. It was like 120 years old.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've done a lot of refurbishment since then. It's north of Zone 1, so it's pretty far away, but even from Zone 4, it only cost us like less than $5 in an Uber to get there. Thank goodness for Uber. It makes everything so much easier. It's cost, I think, 25 quetzales to get in, so, a little over $3. And then it's just this giant relief map. Do you remember the dimensions?
I don't, but it would take 20 minutes to walk around the whole thing.
It's not huge. It's not a huge park, but you get to kind of walk around, and they've got some elevated places where you can go up and look down to see where all the mountains are and where all the cities are and the lakes and volcanoes of Guatemala. So it's kind of kitschy. I like kitschy, so I really enjoyed it. It just sort of depends if that's kind of your thing, because it is kind of out of the way, but we thought it was worth going up there.
Another thing we had an opportunity to do was spend a little time in Zone 4. Now, Zone 4 is the kind of upcoming trendy neighborhood. They have lots of street art and lots of restaurants, and it's just a really cool place to hang out. Not far from there is the Torre del Reformador, and this is a big kind of Eiffel Tower looking thing. It's in the middle of Zone 9, and it's worth a walk through to take a look at.
So we had picked our apartment in Zone 9, which is the financial district of Guatemala City. It's a very safe place to be because it's a lot of people coming to work every day. But because it's a business district, we had a little trouble with food. We were surrounded by a lot of fast food. There's, Taco Bell and McDonald's and Burger King and all that kind of stuff. I will say we did enjoy eating at Pollo Campero, which is sort of Guatemala's version of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Better.
Yeah, so much better. I don't know what it is, but we really enjoyed eating there. You could get like a chicken sandwich and fries for like about $6. 45 quetzales. We did go there a couple of times, but we did eat at a couple of other places. So we did find a very local almuerzo kind of place that was just a few blocks away from us. It was very busy. So we didn't go back, but it was really enjoyable. It was called Comida Chapina, and I think it cost 25 quetzales, like $3 for a big meal. We had, a drink and soup and the main with some meat. It was really good, and it was just, if it hadn't been so crowded, I think we would have gone back there. Another place where we went where we wanted to kind of splurge a little bit was, what was it called? So we've come to a, for us, very nice restaurant. It's called El Adobe here in Guatemala City in Zone 4. And we just got our food. I'm very excited. So David and I are going to be sharing, I guess it's like a meat platter, but let's take a look here. I haven't even opened it yet. Oh my goodness. So I think we have 2 different kinds of beef, and then the sausage, and then it comes with, it looks like that's a potato and some onions, guacamole, and beans. Oh my gosh, everything looks so good. It was really, really good food.
Yeah, but it was Guatemalan food also, and that was part of the reason we wanted to go there.
Yes. Otherwise, just because of everything that was happening, we did go to the grocery store a lot, where we were able to get pretty much anything we needed. They had peanut butter, we made pasta, and we were able to just, kind of go grocery shopping, and we cooked a lot in the apartment.
In District 10, there is a college. It is called Universidad Francisco Marroquín, and it's a beautiful campus set down in a little valley, very green, lots of beautiful buildings, and it is a great place to visit. It is also the home of 2 museums, Popova and the Textile Museum. Those are places that we could not get into because of time and things being closed. We really wish we had been able to. They are archaeological museums that you can visit there. The campus also has lots of trails. So if you want to spend a little time walking around, that's a good place to go also.
They did have a lot of like university art that I really enjoyed.
That was cool.
That was all about, freedom of expression, but also kind of tempered with responsibility. It was a very interesting message that was kind of being shared, and I really enjoyed the art.
You've heard us talk a little bit about zones, and I'm going to explain a little more right now. The zone of the old town is zone 1. South of that are zones 4, 10, and 9. We stayed in zone 9. It was a little business-like, so we would suggest, if you are staying in Guatemala City, staying in zone 10, which is a bit of a nicer area, or zone 4, which is more of the trendy area.
So we found our place on Airbnb and we really liked it. It was right in zone 9. We were staying on the top floor of a 10-story building. It was a 3-bedroom, very clean, very modern. We had a kitchen, we had a washer, which was really nice. And then we had a beautiful balcony, which was really nice on those days where we couldn't go outside, that we could get out on the balcony and kind of get some fresh air. We saw the street down below us, Avenida La Reforma, so we could, kind of see the protests that kind of went by. Definitely someplace I would recommend if you wanted to stay in zone 9, but like David said, probably just for other reasons you might want to stay in one of the other zones. At the end of the day, we had a really good visit in Guatemala City. Now, I don't know that you necessarily need to stay a month there like we did. Like, we were kind of trying to prove a point and it didn't quite work out, but then it really kind of did, because even that with everything that went on, we had a pretty good visit. Now, Guatemala has a lot of things to do, and so I don't know that I would recommend Guatemala City over anywhere else. Like, you're still going to want to get out and go to Antigua and Lake Atitlan and Samuk Champay and Tikal and Livingston and all of the other places there are to go. But if you have a couple of days, I don't think there is anything wrong with staying in Guatemala City. I mean, we travel with my 74-year-old mother. We did not feel unsafe at any time, just walking around the city. And I mean, we're not going out late at night and getting drunk, of course, but as long as you kind of follow normal precautions of a big city, you can have a really good visit in Guatemala City. And I say it's a place worth going.
Today and not tomorrow.